so inclined, I can go back to trapping.
The people that think that killing animals for furs, like PETA, or have they ever been a problem through the years? Or made things difficult now?
Not locally.
Not locally.
They don't have much chance locally. They certainly have been a problem nationwide, and even within the state, they've been a problem. So to some extent, although within the state of Alaska, they haven't been a big problem. They've been a relatively small problem here. The well-known story of the people who threw paint on some lady with a fur coat.
Mm-hmm.
When we checked that out, we were able to check it out, or people within the fur industry checked it out. Come to find out, it was a setup. And it was the people that threw the paint were PETA members,
Mm-hmm.
or their sympathizers. I forget now exactly what. And it was all a setup. It was. They didn't really just select some lady with a fur coat
Mm-hmm.
and decide they're going to go spray her with paint. They had some lady available
Mm.
who ran up in front of a crowd with a fur coat on and said, "No, don't spray me," or something like that. And they sprayed her, and she yelled some comment like, "We'll spray every one of you rascals with fur coats," some comment like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a newspaper reporter there ready, and she snapped a picture, or had a picture taken, and so that was the story behind the story.
Mm.
And oftentimes you find out the real story behind the story. It takes the edge off of the story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
It was a story behind the story. It took the edge off of the story.
Yeah.
Because it really wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted everyone to believe that they were going around spraying people with fur coats, and which never, as near as they could find out, they never ever found a case where a person was randomly selected out of a crowd and sprayed with a fur coat. They could never find a case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they say it may have happened, but they could never find a case where it ever happened,
Mm-hmm.
where the lady was sprayed with fur coat randomly.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having someone who, because of their conscience, objected to furs, you had someone who, for political reasons, was maybe even being paid to make a big spectacle.
Exactly right. Yes, I bought fur for a number of years. I think around 20-some years. I don't know how many years. I'm a little fuzzy on dates and times.
Mm-hmm.
And
And what kind of native group did you live with?
Athabascans.
The Athabascan.
The Athabascan people. And it really was an advantage to me because I married an Athabascan. My wife is Indian,
Mm-hmm.
and so I knew enough of the culture. I knew enough of the language to where it was a big advantage to me
Mm.
because I could walk into a village and know certain things that were very advantageous to me as a fur buyer.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I would know I would know kind of how the system worked,
Mm.
and how the culture worked, and how the people thought, and all that, and how the trappers and the hunters gathered their meat and they gathered their fur, and I was able to identify with that, and then to a certain extent I could pass on to them other ideas that I had picked up downriver. A few villages maybe downriver had told me about they were working in such and such a manner, and so they would help me. They would pass on me maybe an idea, a way that they were dealing with a bear problem maybe, or maybe a way that they were catching mink, which was totally different to the people up there. And maybe I could pass that on to them. And excuse me, and maybe at any rate, I found that I was able to pass on ideas to different people, and because of my my position as a fur buyer, I was positioned as a knowledgeable person in the industry, and many of the ideas that I would pass on to this group, I had never even tried. But I was able to pass on because it identified and rang true, and it rang as a good system, and I would be able to pass those ideas on to one group, and maybe they'd come from 2 or 3 or 4 villages downriver, and it was very helpful to me.